Greater Memphis Media. TSD TV, Tri-State Defender.
You understand how important it is. You know, I watch a lot of stuff on Deion Sanders, and he's so motivating.
A complete and total failure of leadership from the federal government.
If anyone asks how it's going in the black community, you tell them we're rising.
Greater Memphis Media and TSD TV presents to you the Brian Clay Chronicles.
And the revolution will be televised. I am your host, Brian Clay, and this is another episode of the Brian Clay Chronicles. Today, the Brian Clay Chronicles presents The Souls of Black Folks, the War on Community Education. And we have a wonderful panel with us today. We have Dr. Althea Green. How you doing, Pastor?
Good evening, my brother.
Mr. Cardell Owen, who's with Save the Children. How you doing, Doc?
I'm doing good.
How's Bacardi?
She's doing great.
Good. And my good friend and other brother, Dr. Cedric Gray, Director of Education for Shelby County Government. How you doing, bro?
All is well, my
I
friend.
love the bow tie.
Look, hey, we got something
We
something
always
else.
have something
else in common.
I know that's right. We are going to get into a myriad of issues. I would also like to say we have a new segment on the Brian Clay Chronicles. We have Judge Tariq Sugarman, who is going to do something called From the Bench with Tariq Sugarman, and we're going to discuss a myriad of legal issues. We have a lot to talk about, ranging from the governor's office to what's happening here locally. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. Is that cool?
That's it.
Sounds good.
Welcome to the Brian Clay Chronicles again, and I am your host, Brian Clay. We'll be right back right after this. Pow.
Whether you're planning for a comfortable retirement, preparing for her big day, or saving for graduation day,
I know it's a lot, but what do you think?
We can help with that.
Preserver Partners, preparing for your future today.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm attorney Monica Johnson, and let's talk about securing your legacy with a power of attorney and an advanced health directive. A power of attorney grants a named individual the authority to act on your behalf with respect to whatever matters are designated in the document. A durable power of attorney comes into effect or continues when you become incapacitated and unable to handle matters on your own. Let's switch gears and discuss how to ensure your desires are met when the time comes. An advanced health directive is a legal document in which a person specifies what actions can be taken with respect to their health when they can no longer speak for themselves. For example, would you like the doctors to take extreme life-saving measures to ensure your survival? What if your survival would result in you being in a vegetative state? What if amputation is required? These are all decisions that can be made in advance of a medical procedure or an unfortunate accident. Let's be proactive. Call me today, Attorney Monica Johnson, 901-325-0600, or visit me at attorneymonicajohnson.com.
And we're back to the Brian Clay Chronicles. We are going to start with our beloved pastor, Dr. Green. You sit on the Shelby County commissioner's office, not commissioner.
School board.
Commissioner may be a prerequisite.
Yes. Speak those things as if they are.
Yes, but we'll get to that later. School board. A lot has happened, from name change to the issue with lead in schools. The governor today said there will be potentially $100 million investment in schools if there is some sort of consolidation with certain schools. What is going on with now Memphis Shelby County school system?
I'm excited about the rebranding. When you think about 80% of the children in our schools live in Memphis, the students were questioning Dr. Ray around why are we called Shelby County School? Mm-hmm. When we as a school board are attending conferences and we say we're from Shelby County, the next question is, where is that? There are 5 Shelby counties. Mm-hmm. So to be able to say Memphis Shelby County Schools gives us an identity. Mm-hmm. And so I'm excited about the rebranding.
It's the Reimagine 901.
As a part of Reimagining 901, it's building new schools, consolidating schools. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot going on right now with the Memphis Shelby County Schools. Mm-hmm. You mentioned about the lead, and should parents be overly concerned about that? Right. And I want to remind parents that our water fountains have been off since COVID. So we're not using water fountains.
You made me aware of that. I didn't realize that the schools had gone to another. I haven't been in the schools in a long time. I don't have any children, but they have changed that whole.
Right, and so we have those brand new water bottle fillings, fountains for kids to just bring their water bottles, fill them up. But we also provide bottled water each and every day for all of our students.
Is it unlimited?
It's unlimited,
okay.
and some of them love it. Mm-hmm. Some children just love to drink water. I love for them to drink water. It's healthy. And so I'm excited. I'm in schools throughout the week. The kids love the water bottle filling stations. And so when you look at 12 schools that showed up on the list, when you think about some of those fountains have been shut off, they hadn't been flushed out, the list was shorter than it was when the first list came out. But people have to be mindful. A lot of those fountains have been off. A lot of those were in mop sink closets, so you have to look at the locations. But I want parents to know that we strive each and every day not only to educate children, but we want them to be safe even when it comes to drinking water.
And you were saying, Dr. Green, that parents really don't need to be concerned in regards to the
lead report, issue. Right. Most of our parents have been in the school, or they are aware of the water bottle filling stations. They know about bottled water being given out. So I think our parents, we didn't hear an uproar. I didn't get an email. So I think parents, the news sometimes just kind of put things out there, but I'm grateful that our parents, they read, they know what's going on. They are informed.
I want to come back to you and ask you a little bit more about schools. But I want to go to my brother Orrin. I chose this particular topic with you in mind because your family, they have been educators. Ms. Suzanne Jackson, for those that don't know, is Cardale's mother. Some know Bacardi Jackson also that went to Central High School, and Shavera Orrin that is in Havana right now, right? Yep. But I chose this topic because in 1903, W.E.B. Du Bois wrote Souls of Black Folks. And between chapters 4 and 7 are totally dedicated to education. And one of the things that he said was that education, specifically in the South, was not advanced enough for African Americans that want to be mobile. Obviously, we know he was a proponent of the talented 10th and things of that nature. Fast forward to 2022, where FedEx has made a major investment not only into LeMoyne-Owen College, but 7 other HBCUs with the Student Ambassador Program. The late president at LeMoyne-Owen, my alma mater, Dr. Irving McPhail, actually disbanded the relationship that LeMoyne-Owen had with FedEx because so many students were going to FedEx and working and then, quitting college. They would quit their 4-year education. Do you think in mind with what W.B. Du Bois was writing about, do you think that this is a honest opportunity from FedEx for African American students that attend HBCUs to matriculate into administration and executive jobs? Or is this just FedEx protecting their workforce long term?
That's a good question. And I think we will only know over time. So we know that our economy here has been built around distribution and warehouses without a mind towards how do we get folks into entry-level jobs but also move them up. So we didn't move with the time. So when we did the jobs conference and decided we were going to be America's distribution capital, we created an economic system that said we want people who are undereducated and have less opportunities because we need them to drive what we say is our main economic driver, distribution and warehouses.
Powerful answer. So you're with Stand for Children. I think I said Save for Children earlier, but Stand for Children. And all of your vast knowledge and history in education. By the way, many don't know that Brother Orion went to Philip Exeter.
Phillips Andover.
Phillips
Academy Andover. We were first.
Because I almost went to Deerfield. I almost went to Deerfield, and I never forgot that. But as an executive with Stand for Children, the souls of black folks are really, this is a critical moment, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean,
Not to mention the Ford plant that is going to be looking for employees.
Yeah, so I think that across the board, like it's an important aspect, and Memphis Shelby County Schools is really the 100-pound gorilla in terms of what drives our workforce. I would say our workforce ecosystem has been confused and misguided for decades probably in terms of how do we move people economically, of economic mobility, from people where we have a large percentage of children in poverty to having thriving lives and being able to have livable, not just livable wages, but thriving wages so that they could thrive. And we haven't built that into the system. Some of the work that the school system is doing around CCT, around career and technical education to ensure that we are preparing children. And that's not just what we used to call VOTEC, but it means, and it's not just away from colleges, it means let's set out what our career paths for our children. And some of those go through college, some of those don't need to go through college, but let's identify what helps them to be economically viable and thriving so that we can have the greatest success and opportunity, which will then drive our economy to higher heights. So what we've been doing has been to trickle down the economy and then say, well, we'll invest, we'll do pilots, we'll give tax incentives, and then eventually it'll hit people, but those people have still been working in the hub.
So Du Bois is right then, that we are essentially it's tough because are we partnering with corporations knowing that ultimately Johnny will be in the warehouse, or are we really giving opportunities? Because even the schools selected, Payne College, Lane College, Fayetteville State, you can go down the list. They're obviously fantastic HBCUs, but they're a little bit more vulnerable at those HBCUs than maybe a Xavier or Morehouse or Spelman. You understand what I'm saying?
I think I do. And I think that if we're talking about Du Bois and we're talking about Talented 10th, then Du Bois' assertion was that the Talented 10th had a responsibility. Right. And where we have failed is that the people who we might qualify as Talented 10th, our leaders, our elected officials, have failed the people of Memphis and Shelby County in terms of demanding that we have an economic development strategy, a workforce development strategy that values and benefits black people and black communities.
Wow. Can we go to a break? Because after we go, I want to come to you, Dr. Gray, and really address that issue right there. That was actually where I was going. Thank you so much. Because the critical thing that we need to address now, and you being in a very new position in this administration, in the Shelby County. Let me quantify that. In the Shelby County administration, what do we do from an economic perspective in moving our children, in Memphis Shelby County students, to a level of profitability than poverty? Can you handle it?
I can handle
Yeah.
it.
Can you handle it? We will be right back on the Brian Clay Chronicles fascinating conversation with 3 of the top educators in this city. Pow pow.
Family, security, happiness. They had it all. A good life. Then, one day, the unexpected happened. And just like that, everything changed. Things spiraled downhill quickly. Suddenly, their lives were falling apart. They were facing the unknown. I'm attorney Ursula Woods. Call us at the bankruptcy law firm before it's too late. We can help you get back on track and give you the second chance that you deserve.
And welcome back to the Brian Clay Chronicles. We are having an in-depth interview with 3 of the top educators, Pastor Dr. Althea Green, who is Memphis Shelby County School Board Representative, Mr. Cardale Oren with Stand for Children.
There you go.
Stand for Children.
You got it.
And my brother, Dr. Cedric Gray, who's got a fabulous bow tie on, I might add. Dr. Gray, we were talking with Mr. Oren about a myriad of things. Really the inspiration of this particular episode of the Brian Clay Chronicles. A lot has happened from an educational standpoint. The $1 billion that was promised, so to speak, from Governor Bill Lee in his State of the State address. Today he announced that there may be $100 million if Memphis Shelby County schools consolidate some of the schools. There are a myriad of things that are going on in education, and Shelby County government, be it good, be it bad, has taken on the full responsibility of educating from a fiscal standpoint our children. You are the Director of Education, brand new position that Mayor Lee Harris created, who is our Shelby County mayor. From an economic standpoint, and from, I guess, you as a proven educator, and for those that don't know, Dr. Gray was the former superintendent of Fayette Schools. I always want to say Fayette Ware Schools, but it's Fayette County Schools. Mm-hmm. What is your perspective as we move deeper in the 21st century in ensuring, like Pastor Gray and Mr. Orange said, that our students are successful?
Absolutely. So again, thanks for inviting me. I just want to double click something that Cardale said about the talented 10th. Okay, he's absolutely right. So the responsibility lies within the talented 10th. I think we have to now begin to focus also on this next Gen 90, right? So what we want to begin now is to continue to inform the 90% of the additional options, right? So oftentimes, this is, I'm from Spud Lester,
right.
This is not far from here, right? And Craigmont Middle.
And don't forget Douglas.
And Douglas is my spot, right? So I think that what we're working with now is hopefully a more informed populace, right? You mentioned before that with monies going to the colleges and college students working at the
was at FedEx.
Right, exactly.
The late Dr. McPhail, God rest his soul, the president of Lemoyne Owen, actually severed ties
Right,
with
exactly.
with FedEx years ago.
Right. And so what we have now, though, is a group of young people that have the ability to make better decisions because they have more information than they did before.
Right.
For the most part, right? So
Yes, sir.
our job, I think, is to drive that information and to say that you don't have to be stuck in one place or the other. Obviously, young people at this, between the ages of 18, 24, and 26,
Different population.
they're making decisions now to not work, right?
Right.
They're making these decisions based upon the information they think they have, that they can have a better opportunity doing something else.
Right.
So why don't we focus a little bit more on that group, providing them options, letting them know the various opportunities that exist, that you don't have to get stuck in the hub. I worked in the hub. Right?
Yeah.
You don't have to get stuck there, but that's a good place to start, right? Especially if you're in college. The other part of that is what, Card, I'm just going to be piggybacking off all your stuff, right? So the other part of that is opportunity youth, right?
Right.
The opportunity. So if the Blue Oval is being built up the street, right, and $100 million is going to be given to, at some point, potentially given to Memphis Shelby County Schools, then we also need to broaden this career and technical education, but embedded in the schools, right? Literally building these products. So, for example, 11th and 12th grader right now in the high school can be taking courses that can land them in Blue Oval.
Okay.
We can literally sit down with Ford Motor Group and say, what does it take? What does orientation look like for the first 6 months?
Right.
Instead of you bringing on a new employee and sending them through a 6-month orientation for them to quit, let us take some of that orientation and embed it in the curriculum in high school.
And I'll ask this all of the group, and I want you to finish. Does it lead to a different economy, as you touched on, Cardell, that we are building for the 21st century?
Yeah.
You think so?
Well, I don't know. I don't see how it wouldn't.
Okay.
If you have more people more informed and working, then you have more opportunities that can evolve from that. Now, Blue Oval's not the end all to be all, right? So, but it's path.
It's major.
Yeah, it's a pathway. So
Right.
if we focus a little bit further down the road, like most of the economists are doing, like 10 and 20 years from now, if we can begin to inform and educate this 18 to 24-year-old mass now, in 20 years they're running Blue Ovals and opening more of them.
Right.
Right. And so I think that's the vision that we should reach for.
Versus.
And I know the talented 10th. Don't get me wrong.
No.
But I think we need to push that. We need to work on pushing that down and making sure everyone knows that there are more opportunities that exist, more money in the area than ever before, and now is the time for us to respond to that.
Pastor, you will be running for county commission.
Yes.
These will be some of the issues that you will face. Dr. Gray brings up fantastic points. Really fascinating conversation. As a educator, because even though you're a school board representative, you have been in community education, which is the crux of what we're discussing today, forever. How do you respond to Dr. Gray when he says that we may not need to embrace the talented 10th concept, embrace more of a workforce concept as we move deeper into a more tech-driven society?
I agree with Dr. Gray.
Right.
Because Shelby County is our funding source for Shelby County Schools, for the Memphis Shelby County Schools. And I agree with him. More CTE programs. We've got to begin really in kindergarten.
Of course.
With career awareness. We want to have career day once a school year. And then you ask a child in 5th grade, what do you want to do? That's something we've got to be doing on an ongoing basis. As an educator, every month we talked about a career.
Okay.
And so I agree with him, but as a school district, we've got to have the funding and the programs in place so we can begin to change the mindset of our students. Because if you don't change the mindset and begin to educate and introduce them to career opportunities, We're talking about building a new plant. So we got to have that conversation. How would you like to work in that plant? And as Cedric said, if we provide the orientation in high school, we're going to have an employee ready for you. We used to say every day, every child college bound. Every child is not college bound. So we know that we need students to be ready for other careers and other career paths. But it is our job as a school district to make sure we have prepared our students for those jobs. And I agree with him. It starts in 9th grade.
So,
Go ahead.
Let me just.
Yeah.
So this is a powerful concept because I don't want us to miss this, right? So Blue Oval is a plant, but putting parts on trucks aren't the only thing that's going to happen. You literally are going to need.
There'll be a lot of tech jobs.
Yeah. So when I was in Jackson, Mississippi, blessed to be there as superintendent, we sat down with the folks at Nissan, which is in Canton, right up the street.
Okay.
And they went over every career that's possible. Everything from electric engineers, human resource specialists. They even had campus enforcement, right? So police of law enforcement. So I'm telling you, what we're looking at, if we're real carefully, if we pay close attention and get in lockstep as much as possible, right, with what's happening with Blue Oval, you literally in 20 and 30 years can change the face of the city. And not necessarily leaning so much on the talented 10th, right? So because I'm a product of one of those, right? But just focusing a little bit more on those who are actually going to be, the people working and running the place.
And if I can, because I go back to what School Board Member Green said in terms of we have to be willing to fund that and resource that. So if we think about the scale of what we need. Dr. Gray mentioned opportunity youth. If we have some 30,000 opportunity youth, that's young people who aren't in school or working, and we've got some 40 or 50,000 young people in high school, 9th through 12th grade, then what we're saying is that by the time they get to 11th and 12th grade, that's 20,000 students, plus the 30,000 who are opportunity youth, that's 50,000 students who should have opportunities to get into internships or apprenticeships to be able to prepare for going into college or workforce or being able to having the greatest opportunities that they can have. Now, if we think about that number, when we think, okay, in the employee program that the city of Memphis has, there's 1,500 to 2,000 seats, and the county only has 300 seats for summer job opportunities, then we start to see what's our scale of investment that we really need to have to really maximize what we say we want for the future of our children. And so what we talk about is a lot of times what we should be doing. And then when we actually start to put numbers around what that means and set metrics and goals and then start to say, okay, either we're gonna fund that or not, then we know whether we're actually serious about moving our kids or not.
We have about 15 seconds. Pastor Green, is there anything else that you would like to say to the city of Memphis? Again, you serve as Memphis Shelby County School Board representative, but the future is now. You are going to be running for Shelby County Commission.
I am running for Shelby County Commissioner for District 7, and what makes me the best candidate for that seat is the fact that I have 38 years in education. I've sat on the school board for 3 years. I understand budget. I understand what it costs to fund this school district. And in order for us to prepare children for the future, I understand we need more dollars from the Shelby County government. And so I'm excited to be campaigning. I'm excited to say that I am well qualified to step into the shoes of Tammy Sawyer, who has been an outstanding role model for District 7. But it's work, and I am committed and dedicated to that work, and just look forward to working with my brother over there, Dr. Cedric Gray, and my good friend sitting here. Yes. Because it's teamwork in order to make this a reality. When I'm sitting here thinking about the Firestone, the International Harvester, and all of the plants that were opened, Montana Steel, when I was a child, what happened that all of a sudden we didn't have jobs here in Memphis, and we didn't continue to prepare students or young people. That's why we see that age group, with that mindset, I'm just gonna chill and wait for something better. I think now is the time for us to put our money where our mouth is and just to make sure we are prepared.
Very quickly, Cardell, Oren, you are with Stand for Children. One of the things that Dr. Pastor Green just said was the mindset of young people today. Obviously, we've seen a lot of crime and killing amongst our young people. As an executive for Stand for Children, what is your plan? And let's talk to the city of Memphis on how Stand for Children is essential and very important for the city of Memphis.
I think our goal, and we've recently changed our mission to focus on education, equity, and racial justice. And I think that is like the clear component of what we want to see in Memphis and Shelby County, that we have to have educational equity and racial, like that's the core of driving our economy. So it's not just a matter of what we've done in the past. It's not a matter of submitting to not having an economic development plan, which I would say we haven't had a real economic development plan in decades. It's not just the trickle down that we've tended to have of tax incentives and cutting costs for companies and not building the value or taking advantage of the value that gets created in our community to reinvest in Black children, in Black communities, in Black people, to make sure that they have the greatest opportunities to thrive. I think that those are the things, when we think about, we've got a public transit vision 3.0 that the city has touted, that Mayor Strickland has touted, that they have yet to fund. They're actually cutting funds from the general fund for MATA and using federal dollars to supplant that. And so we're not really serious about making the investments that we need in transit, in neighborhoods, in affordable housing, in education, in our children, in our summers and youth. There's this myriad of things, and that's not even to mention the health crises we have in our community across the board. So all of these things are things that we have to identify. We have to say, now it's time to invest in our people. It's time to invest in our communities. And it's time to value Black people and not shy away from who we are and where we fit within the South and within the whole country. And that will mean that we will grow our economy, that we will grow our population, not the other way around.
Powerful. Dr. Gray, I had the opportunity last summer to interview Dr. Andre Perry with the Brookings Institute.
Exactly.
He actually did
know
some
your
work.
value.
Yeah.
Know your price.
He did some work with the Obama administration. He's written several books addressing exactly what Cardell was just talking about, having racial equity and economic equity amongst young people in public schools. Obviously, Memphis Shelby County Schools is a major conduit for any opportunity in the city of Memphis. As we move deeper into this conversation on education in the city of Memphis and Shelby County, what is the far-reaching plan as Director of Education for Shelby County that you have as we matriculate deeper in our community?
Absolutely. So the far-reaching plan is a vision of the Shelby County being a true partner for education. Right. So we understand there are 7 municipalities in the county. Each of those are run by school boards. Right. So the school boards are empowered to make decisions. We want to be partners with them with that. So that's the reason the Shelby County led the effort with the city of Memphis to fund its first ever pre-K joint ordinance for pre-K, right? And so additionally, above that, we continue to respond to the needs of our community through things like the Virtual Learning Academy, which we had when the pandemic first hit. Our employees had to work, the kids had to learn from home, learn remote, so we opened up some classrooms for those kinds of things. And then additionally, just the continual funding of, Pastor Green will hopefully soon, very, very soon see, of $500 million a year that funds the schools, and there's up to $75 million of capital improvement funds that funds. Our job is not to make decisions for schools. Our job is to go along and partner with them to make sure that we support them in the right way.
Right. This has been a fascinating conversation, very productive. You all will come back, right?
Yes.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
Anytime. We have had Pastor Dr. Althea Green, who is running for County Commission, District 7, and is presently on the Memphis Shelby County School Board. Mr. Cardell Orn, who is with Stand for Children and the Director of Education with Shelby County Government, Dr. Cedric Gray. Up next, From the Bench with Tariq Sugarman.